And our fifth main topic today gets submitted to us by Golden Light Pictures. And Golden Light Pictures writes the following. Hey, John and Rob. Thanks for always providing movie news, and I always enjoy listening to you both. Well, thank you so much for that, Golden Light. I know John doesn't care about the Oscars this year. First time in my life I haven't watched the Oscars, and I understand the reasoning, but still curious how you feel about last night's winners, including the big win with Chloe Zhao for Nomadland, and how does that make you feel with Eternals? Thanks, and keep up the great work. All right, man, thanks a lot for sending that in. From a pop culture point of view, Rob, from a pop culture point of view, I think out of everything that was probably going on at the Oscars last night, and I know we've given it a lot of attention on this show, was the fact that we had a director in a Chloe Zhao that looked like was going to win, because she wrote the script as well, that she was going to win Best Picture for her film Nomadland, and she was the front runner to win Best Director at the Academy Awards as well, that this would be the first time a Marvel cinematic movie, because of course Chloe Zhao is directing Eternals, that is coming out later this year for Marvel. It's going to be the first time that Marvel could say an Academy Award Best Director winner is directing one of our films. It's significant. And that, so from a pop cultural point of view, that has been a lot of the big focus. Obviously, a lot was also on the whole Chadwick Boseman thing, and then a lot on the Chloe Zhao thing as well. They go in, as expected. Her movie, Nomadland, ends up winning Best Picture at the Academy Awards. Now, my pick before watching Nomadland last month to win was still Trial of the Chicago 7. It was still that. I loved Trial of the Chicago 7. That changed the moment I saw Nomadland. Like, Nomadland, it penetrated every fiber of me. And I just was so in love with it, masterfully told, loved it. And Chloe Zhao became a director that I desperately wanted to see more of her work. And of course, she walks away with the Academy Award last night. There she is holding two of them, one for Best Picture and one for Best Director. This comes to us from the folks over at CNET, who writes the following. Before Sunday, you might have known Chloe Zhao as the director of Marvel's upcoming Eternals, but now she's the Oscar-winning director of Marvel's upcoming Eternals. I love that. Listen to the way CNET wrote that again. Before Sunday, you might have known Chloe Zhao as the director of Marvel's upcoming Eternals, but now she's the Oscar-winning director of Marvel's upcoming Eternals. Beijing-born Zhao just won Best Director at the 2021 Oscars, beating Emerald Fennell, which, by the way, we have some stuff to talk about her as well, because she won an Academy Award last night herself, and David Fincher, among others. The victory for her film Nomadland, a contemplative drama set in America's Midwest that also won Best Picture, makes her the first woman of color to take home the award and only the second woman in the Academy's 93-year history after Catherine Bigelow, she's amazing, for 2008's The Hurt Locker. So, Rob, as we look at, Chloe's win last night, we're talking about a number of really impressive firsts. Well, let's put the big ones aside for a second. The Best Director win, the Best Picture win. Only the second woman after Catherine Bigelow to win. First non-white woman to win the Academy Award. Both thoroughly deserved. Like we said going into the Oscars, she's the front runner for this. What she did with Nomadland is incredible. So that's great. And then, of course, more importantly, just the fact that she does now have that Oscar. She did win Best Picture. And now we look at this in terms of what does this mean going forward? Now, I believe, Rob, correct me if I'm wrong. Am I getting names mixed up? Is she not also going to do like one of the monster flicks for Universal? I'm pretty sure she's doing one of the Universal, like not Dracula it's a Dracula film she's doing. Yep. So that, which is super exciting. Now she's got this. And by the way, Fennell, she won Academy Award last night for Best Screenplay for Promising Young Woman. So not only, here's the cool thing. If you're a comic book genre fan, not only does the Eternals for Marvel now have the Oscar-winning director, Chloe Zhao, well, Fennell winning Best Screenplay, guess what other movie she's writing coming up? DC's Zatanna. Now, DC can say the Academy Award winning from screenwriter, the Academy Award screenwriter from Promising Young Woman on Zatanna. It was a big night for stuff like that, and I think that's great. But we focus now on what's immediately in front of us, which is Eternals coming up. Rob, you and I have speculated about this a bunch over the past, year, really. But now with Chloe Zhao taking home Best Picture and Best Director of the Year, I've got to imagine that Disney is rapidly at work in their PR department about how to incorporate this into their overall marketing strategy. Obviously, the big draw of Eternals is still that it's Marvel, is still that it's Angelina Jolie, sure, but now this big Oscar win is going to factor into this. Let me ask you, Rob, does these wins do anything for you to kind of increase your excitement for Eternals? Do you think the win and that new title, Academy Award winner, is going to add to the general overall excitement for Eternals? And how do you think Disney's going to incorporate this into their marketing strategy moving forward? What do you think about this?
Well, I mean, I think there's no doubt, I've always been excited about the Eternals as a property because I like the original comics, not just the Kirby ones, but the Neil Gaiman series. I've always liked the Eternals and the Deviants and the whole universe. And remember, this was something they had seen Chloe Zhao's earlier work even before Nomadland, and it led Kevin Feige to make one of his decisions. And I think that Kevin Feige probably wasn't surprised by this, but he realizes that this is no surprise. And I'm sure the reason why, Eternals was supposed to come out last year. And I think it's no surprise to anybody at Marvel that something like this happened because they anticipated it. And it was Chloe Zhao's approach to this material that convinced Feige to go with her as a director, which again, Kevin Feige might be, there's a reason why he is the most successful producer in all of Hollywood history. And he just proves it again. And I think absolutely, look at Disney and look at Marvel. How many people after 23 films that have come out, 27, it'll be 27 by the end of the year. How many people or how many studios have ever been able to say, especially that this studio that's making comic book movies nailed, they now have a history-making director that won a producing prize for winning Best Picture and won the Academy Award for Best Director. You're in a position there that I don't think anyone who's made genre films has ever been in a position like this. Of course they're going to come out. That's why we haven't seen a trailer yet, I don't think. I think when, whether the Loki show comes out, we'll see a trailer drop, or certainly for Black Widow. And how amazing for them. Like Kevin Feige had the foresight to pick somebody, a Chinese woman who's now directing, again, moved from indie films to giant tentpole properties in the MCU, and apparently must have crushed it. That's got to be all over their trailers, from Academy Award winner Chloe Zhao. This is the Eternals. My God, they can now turn the Eternals, which a lot of people don't know, John.
That's true.
The Eternals, I think in a way, it's analogous to making an Iron Man movie, but even Iron Man, at least some people knew from animation. Big Marvel fans don't even know what the Eternals are. It's not exactly, this is probably of all Shang-Chi, which I grew up reading, but the Eternals are, I would put them on all of their properties, probably the least known, even amongst Marvel fans. So now they've got the perfect marketing hook to sell this to a public that's like, wait, the Eternals? Who? What? Now they've got something to sell it that they didn't have before, something that's very potent.
And Rob, you were touching on this, and I want to dive into it a little bit deeper. It is yet again Kevin Feige, as you were kind of touching on, has a foresight. And in sports terminologies, he is the best talent scout in the business. He's the guy who can go down to the minor leagues and say, that kid is going to be a number one pitcher in the major leagues. That's what he can do. Let's look at the history of Kevin Feige on this, shall we? Who knew James Gunn other than like those of us in some tighter circles that we watch some of those, like whether it's from his Trauma days or whatever, like not a lot of people have seen Slither. I still think James Gunn's best film, but Slither or whatever. And he went out and he recognized this guy is the guy we need to make Guardians of the Galaxy. And everybody looked, who? James what? And look what that turned into. Peyton Reed. When they were trying to find, they had all that drama with Edgar Wright. Edgar Wright ended up not directing Ant-Man. It's like Edgar and Kevin apparently have a great relationship today, though. But that they need to find somebody. And they went and got Peyton Reed. And a lot of people said, who? The director of Bring It On, the director of Yes Man, is the guy you're going to let direct a Marvel film. But he knew this guy has the tools to make a great Marvel film. Look at the Russo brothers. The bloody, what? The guys who made You, Me, and Dupree? You, Me, and Dupree. These are the guys you're going to let direct a Captain America movie. Really? But he knew. He looked at them and he knew the tool set they have is going to work perfectly with me. And I know, and he's done that. And now, you know, when they got this thing coming out, Eternals, and they said, directed by Chloe Zhao, and everybody across the world. Who? Well, they ain't saying who now. Now it's the winner of the Best Picture at the Academy Awards. Now it's the winner of Best Director of the Year. And they're not saying that now. But Rob, I think you're absolutely right when you point on this, that the other part of this story is Kevin Feige continues to prove over and over and over again, he knows how to identify the type of filmmakers that would work great within his universe. And this is another one that he's knocked out of the park. Because who saw this coming? Who saw this coming a year ago? I didn't.
Kevin Feige.
Kevin Feige did. That's right.
What's amazing to me is I think that's what, and as it was reported, he heard her pitch. And I think that probably her unique background, her take on families, and certainly dynasties that have been around for thousands of years, the way the Eternals have, I think probably her Chinese perspective was something that added to her ability to come up with a story that was unique. And I'm thinking that she had that take because she had a Chinese background. She was able to put whatever her take was that he liked, because I had read that it was her pitch that sold him, not just her previous work, but her pitch as well, which is pretty cool. Like, I mean, that's the kind of thing that you want to see. And I mean, the Eternals has to be different from, I mean, think about how different Guardians of the Galaxy is from the Avengers, a team movie. Eternals is about a family, and this has got to be something that has to be different. It has to be as different as Guardians of the Galaxy was to the Avengers. The Eternals has to be as different, very different from Avengers and Guardians of the Galaxy. So I think we're going to be getting a really interesting take on this movie, and it's Kevin Feige going, yep. I mean, to imagine, to roll the dice. Like, Marvel's never had a real failure, but this movie is a risk. It is a risk all the way around. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to get this relatively unknown Chinese filmmaker, female filmmaker, to take on my new tentpole property. So not only does he recognize talent, he's also taking a big risk, but he's fearless and he knew. And look what he's going to get. Hopefully Eternals will be knocked out of the park.
He bets on himself, Rob. Kevin Feige constantly bets on himself. And, you know, in the years to come, there's going to be some revisionist history. It's like, well, what was the big deal? Yeah, he went, I mean, how smart do you have to be to get the Oscar Best Director winner to direct your movies? Everybody needs to remember moving forward, he signed her up when nobody knew who she was. Nobody knew who she was. And he had to get people like the two guys from Game of Thrones. He had to get Angelina Jolie. He had to get that whole cast of Eternals to get on board with the idea of, there's this director that maybe a bunch of you guys have never even heard of. And they bought into it.
Nomadland wasn't finished when she was hired.
That's right.
It's not like Kevin Feige got to watch this finished movie and said, oh, this is Oscar caliber, which is even more extraordinary.
All right, guys. Question is for you. We now have, for the first time in Marvel, they're going to have a movie coming out that is being helmed by the reigning, defending, undisputed best director in the world, at least at the moment, and Chloe Zhao's never happened in the MCU before. What does her win mean for you as far as your excitement overall? Does it make you more intrigued in the Eternals? Are you like one of these guys like, you know what, whether she won or lost or didn't even get nominated, doesn't affect it, my enthusiasm for Eternals or wherever? How do you think this is going to affect their overall marketing of this movie? How do you guys see this? Jump on down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys.